Common Industries 2, Lecture 7 is Production of Soap and Additives in Detergents. Table of Contents. The table of contents of this lecture are soap production processes, boiling process, continuous soap making, the hydrolyzer process, cold and semi-boiled methods, additives in detergents, detergent additives and their function. So in this lecture, you will learn about the soap production processes, which include boiling process, continuous soap making, the hydrolyzer process, cold and semi-boiled methods, finishing operation, additives and detergents, which type of additives which are involved in making the detergents, and detergent additives and their functions. Soap production processes. Number 1 is boiling process. Number 2 is continuous soap making, the hydrolyzer process. So the first process which is involved in the production of soap is boiling process. In the last lecture, I taught you about the boiling process. Now in this lecture, you will study about the continuous soap making, the hydrolyzer process. First point is, the boiling process is very time consuming. Settling takes days. To produce soap in quantity, huge kettles must be used. For this reason, continuous soap making has largely replaced the old boiling process. Most continuous processes today imply fatty acids in the sponification reaction in preference to natural fats and oils. So, what are the disadvantages of using the boiling process? The boiling process is very time consuming and time taking. In this process, the settling takes place in days. It requires a lot of time to complete the entire process. For production of soap in boiling process, we need huge kettles. So, due to the disadvantages of the boiling process, we prefer the continuous soap making, the hydrolyzer process over the boiling process. So in the continuous process, today we mostly use fatty acids instead of fats and oils for the production of soap, and the whole production of soap takes place through the process of sponification reaction. So in the continuous soap making, the hydrolyzer process, we mostly use the fatty acids and give preference to fatty acids instead of fats and oil. The second point is that these acids do not contain impurities and produce water instead of glycerine when they react with alkali. Hence, it is not necessary to remove impurities or glycerine from soap produced with fatty acids. So mostly in this process, we use the reactant as fatty acids, and the fatty acids will react with alkali to produce the soap and water instead of soap and glycerine. So here the reactant are fatty acids and alkali, and the product are water and soap instead of glycerine and soap. So in this process the glycerine is not produced, so it is not necessary to remove the impurities or glycerine from the soap that is produced with fatty acids. Furthermore, the control of entire process is easier and more precise. The fatty acids are proportionally fed into the sponification system either by flow meter or by metering pump. Final adjustment of the mixture is usually made by using pH meter to test acidity and alkalinity and conductivity measuring instruments. So the advantage of this process is that it is very easier process and it is very precise process. The control of entire process is easier and precise. So in this process, first the fatty acids are fed into the sponification system. So to feed the fatty acids in the sponification system, we need flow meter and metering pump. So when the fatty acids are fed into the sponification system, after that the final adjustments of the mixture take place. So the final adjustment of the mixture take place through pH meter and the conductivity measuring instruments. So why we are using the pH meter here? We are using the pH meter to test the acidity and alkalinity of the mixture. So why this process is carrying as the continuous soap making the hydrolyzer process? Because in this process we use the instrument such as hydrolyzer. And what is hydrolyzer? Hydrolyzer is a piece of equipment in which the hydrolysis is carried out. So in the continuous soap making the hydrolyzer process, the hydrolysis takes place by using the hydrolyzer. Number 4. The continuous hydrolyzer process begins with natural fat that is separated into fatty acids and glycerine by means of water at high temperature and pressure in presence of catalyst zinc. The separating reaction is carried on continuously, usually in vertical column 50 feet, 15 meters or more in height. So the continuous hydrolyzer process takes place in a vertical column which is 50 feet, 15 meters or more in height. In this vertical column, we can introduce the natural fat, and these natural fats are split into the fatty acids and glycerine by means of water. So in this column, we can apply the high temperature and pressure by using the zinc catalyst. So that's how the splitting reaction can take place. Number 5. Molten fat and water are introduced continuously into the opposite end of the column. Fatty acids and glycerine are simultaneously withdrawn. Next, the fatty acids are distilled under vacuum to effect purification. They are then neutralized with an alkali solution such as sodium hydroxide, caustic soda to yield neat soap. So, after the splitting reaction takes place in this vertical column, in its opposite end, we can introduce the molten fat and water, and we can now withdraw the fatty acids and glycerine from this column. After this, the process of distillation takes place, and the process of distillation takes place to perform the purification process. So what is distillation? Distillation is the action of purifying a liquid by the process of heating and cooling. Now in this process we provide heating and cooling to our sample to purify the mixture. After this, the process of neutralization takes place by using an alkali solution such as sodium hydroxide and caustic soda to yield the neat soap or purified soap. Number 6. In toilet soap manufacture, a surplus of free fatty acid, often in combination with such superfatting agents such as olive oil or coconut oil is left or added at the final stage so that there is no danger of too much alkali in the final product. So in the manufacturing of toilet soap, the super fattening agents are added such as olive oil or the coconut oil, or these are left in the final stage of the toilet soap making. So what are super fattening agents? You can take an example of super fattening as olive oil or coconut oil. So what is super fattening? It is the process of adding a small amount of extra free oil in the soap that adds extra moisturizing qualities to the soap. So by adding the super fattening agent, there is no danger of the presence of too much alkali in the final product. Number 7. The entire hydrolyzer process from natural fat to the final marketable product requires few hours as compared with the 4 to 11 days necessary for the old boiling process. The byproduct glycerin is purified and concentrated as the fatty acid is being produced. So, the continuous hydrolyzer process has the advantage over the boiling process. The boiling process takes about 4 to 11 days to complete the entire process, while the hydrolyzer process takes about few hours to complete the process. Number 3 is cold and semi-boiled methods. The third process for the production of soap is cold and semi-boiled methods. So what are cold and semi-boiled methods? Number 1, in the cold method, a fat and oil mixture often containing a high percentage of coconut or palm kernel oil is mixed with the alkali solution. So in this method we take oil and fats, and these oils and fats are added with the alkali solution. Mostly in this method we take the high percentage of oil such as the coconut oil or the palm kernel oils that are mixed with the alkali solution. Number 2, slightly less alkali is used than theoretically required in order to leave a small amount of unspecified fat or oil as a superfatting agent in the finished soap. So in this method we use the alkali in small amount and we add the superfatting agent in the soap, so we obtain a unspecified fat or oil. So in, we add an extra amount of oil in this soap to obtain a moisturizing soap. Number 3, the mass is mixed and agitated in an open pan until it begins to thicken. Then it is poured into frames and left there to spinify and solidify. After this mass is mixed and this is shaken in an open pan. So this mass is shaken until it appears or it begins to thicken. When this mass is thickened, then it is poured into the frame and it remains in the frame until it begins to sponify and it converted into the solid form or it is solidified. Number 4, in the semi-boiled method, the fat is placed in the kettle and alkali solution is added while the mixture is stirred and heated but not boiled. So in the semi-boiled method, we place the fat in the kettle and the alkali solution is placed. So in the kettle, first we place the fat, then we place the alkali solution. When this solution are placed in the kettle, this mixture is stirred and heated, but we not boil this mixture. So you keep that point. In this process, we not boil the mixture. Number 5. The mass spunifies in the kettle and is poured from there into frames where it is solidified. So the whole mass is spunifies in the kettle, and after the process of spunification it is poured into the frame where it is converted into the solid form or where it is solidified. Number 6. Because these methods are technically simple and because they require very little investment for machinery, they are ideal for small factories. So, the cold and semi-boiled methods use a little investment for machinery. These are very simple methods and these methods are used for small factories. So, in small factories, we use the cold and semi-boiled methods. Finishing operation. In finishing operation, we convert our mixture into the desired end product. So, in finishing operation, the final stages or final steps take place. In this process, we transform our soap into the desired end product. So, what is finishing operation or finishing soap? Soap finishing is the transformation of soap noodles into the formulated stamped soap bars. So, in this way, our soap is converted into the soap bars or the shapes which we desired. Soap finishing consists of several working stages: pre-refining, mixing, refining, and extrusion, cutting, stamping, and packaging. So there are following steps which take place under finishing operation. Number 1, pre-refining. Number 2, mixing. Number 3, refining. Number 4, extrusion. Number 5, cutting. Number 6, stamping. Number 7, packaging. So these are the steps which take place under finishing operation. Finishing operation transform the hot mass from the boiling pan or from the continuous production equipment into the end product desired. So the finishing operation convert the hot mass which is coming from the boiling pan or the continuous production equipment into the final product or the desired end product. Number 2, for laundry soap, the soap mass is cooled in frame or cooling presses, cut to size and stamped. If soap flakes, usually transparent and very thin, are to be the final product, the soap mass is extruded into ribbon, dried and cut to size. So for the laundry soap, the soap mass is cooled by two processes. Soap mass is cooled in frames or cooling processes. After cooling, the soap is cut into sizes. So in this way, we cut our soap into different sizes or shape which we required. After cutting or cutting up to different sizes, the soap is then goes to the stamped processes. In this way, our soap is stamped. After this, our soap goes to the final processes. In this way, our soap mass is extruded. It is extruded in the form of ribbons, and after extrusion, it is dried and cut to size. So what is extrusion? Extrusion is a process used to create objects of fixed cross-sectional profile. A material is pushed through a die of desired cross-section. So in the extrusion process, our soap or the mixer goes through a die process. After extrusion, it is dried and cut to different sizes. Number 3, for toilet soap, the mass is treated with perfumes, colors or superfatting agents. is vacuum dried, then is cooled and solidified. So for toilet soaps, which processes take place? There are different additives which are added to the soaps, or there are different superfatting agents which are added to the soaps. What are superfatting agents? In the superfatting agents, we add an extra oil to the soap. So in this way, we obtain a soap which is moisturized, or which is in the form of moisturization. After addition of different additives, colors or superfatting agents, our soap goes towards a vacuum dried process. After vacuum dried process, it goes towards the cooling process. Here our soap is cooled and then it is solidified. It is now converted into the solid form or the hard soap form. Number 4. The dried solidified soap is homogenized, often by milling or crushing, in stages to produce various degrees of fitness. So, after addition of different additives, our soap goes towards the homogenization process. What is homogenization? It consists of several processes used to make a mixture of two mutually non-soluble liquids the same throughout. This is achieved by turning one of the liquid into a state consisting of extremely small particles distributed uniformly throughout the other liquid. So in homogenization, we convert our mass into extremely small particles. The homogenization process takes place through machines. It takes place through a milling operation or by crushing. So milling is a machine that is designed to cut or shape the soap using different rotating tools. So in this way, we cut or shape our soap into our desired shape or sizes. Number 5. Air can be introduced under pressure into the warm soap mass as it leaves the vacuum dryer to produce a floating soap. So after homogenization, we introduce the air and pressure into the warm soap mass. After the addition or the introducement of air, we then let it to vacuum dry. After vacuum dry, our soap now converted into the floating shape, or it is now converted into the floating soap or in the floating form. Number 6. Medicated soaps are usually toilet soap with special additives, chlorinated phenol, xylene derivatives and similar products or compounds added to give a deodorant and disinfectant effect. So medicated soaps are usually the toilet soaps. There are different types of additives which are added in the medical soap to produce a disinfectant effect, and these disinfectant effects are introduced to kill the germs. So there are special additives or different kind of additives which are added in the soaps. For example, chlorinated phenol, xylene derivatives and similar compounds. Number 7. As mentioned above, shaving creams are based on potassium and sodium soap combinations. So, the shaving creams are formed by the sodium and potassium soap combination. So, there are sodium and potassium compounds which are added in different combination in the shaving creams. So that's how the finishing operation works. So there are different processes which take place under finishing operation. First, we convert in our soap into the end product. Our soap is converted into different sizes, or we add different types of superfatting agents or additives in the soap. Homogenization takes place, extrusion takes place in this process. So that's how finishing operation works. Additives in detergents. So what are detergents and why we add additives in detergents? Number 1. Detergents are commonly available as powders or concentrated solutions. Detergents like soaps work because they are amphiphilic. So detergents are commonly available in two forms. They are available in the form of powders or they are available in the form of concentrated solutions. So detergents work like soap, and how they work like soaps? They work because they are amphiphilic. And what is amphiphilic? An amphiphile is a compound possessing both hydrophilic and lipophilic properties. Such compound is called amphiphilic or amphiphatic. Number 2, they are partly hydrophilic polar and partly hydrophobic nonpolar. So detergent consists of hydrophilic and hydrophobic heads. They consist of polar and nonpolar part. Nonpolar molecules that repel the water molecules are said to be hydrophobic. Molecules forming ionic or hydrogen bond with water molecule are said to be hydrophilic. Number 3, their dual nature facilitate the mixture of hydrophobic compounds like oil and grease with water. Because air is not hydrophilic, detergents are also foaming agents to varying degrees. So, how this hydrophilic and hydrophobic nature facilitates the detergent? So, this dual nature facilitates the detergents or the mixture because they consist of hydrophobic compounds like oils and grease. So when we add the detergents and water in the laundry, the detergents remove the oil and grease from the laundry and remove the stains. So that's how this nature facilitates the mixture of hydrophobic compounds. So the air is not hydrophilic. So air is not hydrophilic. This facilitates the detergent compounds, and that's why detergents are forming the foaming agents to varying degrees. So when you dissolve the detergents in water, they form the foaming agents because the air is not hydrophilic. So that's why this hydrophobic and hydrophilic nature facilitates the detergents and the mixture. Number 4, detergent additives are used to enhance the cleaning efficiency. So when we produce the detergents or when the production of detergents takes place, we add different types of additives to enhance their further efficiency. There are different types of additives: optical brighteners, surfactants, cleaning agents, perfumes, and fragrance are added in detergents to enhance its ability and its efficiency. Number 5, only 20% of contents in detergents are surfactants. Rest of the contents are detergent additives. So, in detergents, about 20% content is added as surfactants. The rest of the content is added in detergents as additives. So, the 20% contents of surfactant is added. So, what are surfactants? Surfactants are the compounds that lower the surface tension between two liquids, between a gas and a liquid, or between a liquid and a solid. Surfactants may act as detergents, wetting agents, emulsifiers, foaming agents, and dispersants. The word surfactant is a blend of surface active agents. So surfactants play a role of surface active agents. Additives in detergents. So there are different types of additives which are added in detergents, and these additives perform different functions in the detergents. This table shows about the detergent additives and their functions. Number 1 is biological enzymes. You can take an example of biological enzymes as amylase, protease, cellulose, and lipase. Their function is to break down and remove the stains such as proteins, fats, carbohydrates, bloods, and all. Protease break down the protein and other protein strands. Amylase break down the starches, and the lipase break down the fats and grease. The washing powder usually consists of this one type of biological enzyme, mostly consists of two type of biological enzymes, and mostly consists of all type of enzymes. Number 2 is builders. You can take an example of builders as sodium phosphate and sodium tripolyphosphate. What is the function of builders? Their function is to enhance the surfactant's efficiency by lowering the water hardness because magnesium and calcium ions will combine with phosphate ions to form metal phosphate precipitates. So that's how builder work in detergents. Number 3, fillers. Fillers can act as a drying agent. You can take an example of fillers as sodium sulfate and sodium silicate. What is the function of fillers? Their function is to make the solid detergent dry and enable the liquid detergent to be poured easily. So, detergent fillers are the materials which are added in detergent to alter their physical characteristics and properties. Their objective is to make the detergent fluid or to turn the fluidized detergent in the powder form. So, the fillers turn the detergent into the powder form or they turn the detergent into the fluid form. Number 4, fragrance. There are different type of fragrance are added in detergent for better smell. So, the function of fragrance is to give the detergent and fabrics a better smell. Number 5, optical brighteners. Examples of optical brightener is fluorescent dyes and the blue dye. Their function is to convert some ultraviolet radiations to blue light and cause the fabric look brighter and whiter rather than yellow. So there are different types of optical brighteners which are added in detergent and their function is to make the laundry look whiter and brighter. So in common household purposes, a blue dye is used and the blue dye is added to remove the yellowness that is present in the laundry and they convert the laundry brighter and whiter. Number 6, stabilizing agents. The examples of stabilizing agents are silicones and diethanol amide. What is the function of stabilizing agent? Their function is to lower the production of foam, especially during the usage in the washing machine. So they lower the production of foam when they are used in washing machine. In industrial chemistry, a stabilizer is a chemical that is used to prevent degradation. So their function is to prevent the degradation. Mostly heat and light stabilizers are added in the plastics and elastomers to prevent the aging and the weathering. The trend is towards the fluid systems, pellets and increase the use of master batches. There are monofunctional, bifunctional and polyfunctional stabilizers. So these stabilizers are used in the form of monofunctional, bifunctional and polyfunctional. In economic trends or in economic terms, the most important product groups on the market for stabilizers are the compounds based on calcium. So mostly used compounds are based on calcium such as calcium, zinc and organocalcium, lead and tin stabilizers as well as light and the light stabilizers are used such as benzophenone and benzotriazoles. Number 7, suspension agent. जो examples of suspension agents are sodium carboxymethyl cellulose. Their function is to increase the negative charge on cellulose fabrics such as cotton and rayon. This will prevent the dirt particles removed from redeposition onto the clean fabric. So the function of the suspension agent in the detergent to remove the dirt particles that and prevent it to redeposit on the clean fabric. Number 8, whitening agents. There are different types of whitening agents are added in the detergent to look it appear whiter. Examples of whitening agents are sodium hypochlorite, sodium perborate, and sodium perborate types materials or compounds. Their function is to bleach the fabric and white fabric, but they does not bleach the dye on the colored fabric. Okay, they work on the white fabrics and they does not bleach the dye that is present on the colored fabrics. They just work on the white fabrics and they are used to bleach the white fabrics. So that's how the additives work in detergents. Assignments. Assignment number 1 is what is difference between boiling process and continuous soap making process. Assignment number 2 is which processes are taken place under finishing operation.